everyone, myself Dr. Yogita Sharma, working as an assistant professor at Sanjay Gandhi Institute of Dairy Technology, Bihar Animal Sciences University, Patna. Today we will be studying about theory of demand. So let's start. Demand is a desire or want of any particular item backed by the ability to pay and the willingness to pay. Until and unless you have the willingness to pay, it does not fall under the category of demand. Let's start with law of demand. Law of demand says that there is a negative or inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. The demand of a commodity increases with the reduction in its price and decreases with the increase in its price ceteris paribus, which means keeping other things constant. Here we can see the relationship of demand and price. Whenever, if we see here, if the price of this shoes drops from $100 to $60, then the amount of the quantity purchased of these shoes will be high, and when the same price increases to $100, only few people will be willing to buy it. If we see the demand curve for this, on x-axis we have quantity demanded and on y-axis we have price, and the demand curve is a straight line sloping downwards. There are some assumptions for this law of demand, which includes the consumer incomes remains same. Second, the consumer preferences always remain same and there is no variation in fashion. Price of the related goods should not exchange. Price rise or shortage is not expected in future, and there is no change in demographic people and no new varieties. Coming to the exceptions to the law of demand, first one is the giffen goods. Giffen goods are inferior goods like cheap vegetables or food product. When the price of such goods decreases, quite often less quantity is demanded than before due to the negative income effect and the increasing preferences for a better product with increase in their real income. If you see an example here, when the price of maize falls, the poor will not buy it more because they are willing to spend more of the money on superior goods that are other than maize. The second one is snob or the snob appeal articles. Here certain goods are attached with status symbol. It doesn't matter to people whether the price of these goods are high or low. People are willing to buy that goods on higher prices also. Next is the forecasting. If people believe that the price of certain goods is going to increase in future, they may try to purchase them in present times even at a higher prices. For example, stock markets. And the last one is wrong belief. If a consumer has a certain wrong belief that the quality of the product is deteriorate or it is of not good quality, then the demand always decreases even though there is a fall in their prices. Let's understand demand schedule. Demand schedule shows the relationship of price and quantity demanded of a particular commodity in the form of a table. It is again of two types. First one is the individual demand schedule. Here the quantity demanded by an individual consumer for a specific period of time is shown. We can see here in the first table, only for a particular consumer it is shown. And the market demand schedule, it is the summation of individual demand schedules of individual consumers in a particular market segment at a particular point of time. Here the second graph is of market demand schedule. Here there are for example three different consumers, Amar, Ali and Alex, and their cumulative is the market demand. Let's understand demand function. Demand function is a mathematical expression showing functional relationship between demand and the dependent variables that affects the demand. It is given as D, which is a function of price of substitute goods, price of complementary goods, change disposable income of the consumer, change in taste and preferences of the consumer, impact of promotion or any advertisement, population change or any other unspecified value that impacts the demand. If we see the determinants of demand, first one is the price of the goods. When the price of when the less quantity is demanded at higher prices than the lower prices. Second is the price of other related goods like substitute goods or complementary goods. If there for substitute goods, for example tea or coffee, if the price of tea goes up, then people will prefer coffee over tea. And for complementary good, these both goods are required at the same time, like bread and butter. If the price of bread increases, then people don't buy butter also, even though the prices are less. Third one is the taste, habit and preferences. Demand for products are dependent upon criteria like vegetarian or non-vegetarian. If the prices of the meats goes down, that it doesn't impact because the vegetarian won't be eating that. Next one is the consumer's income. Higher the income, higher will be the demand for necessary and luxury items. Next one is the scientific development. With research and development, new item enters the market before and they add more feature to the demand and they creates new demand. Next is the buyer's expectation. If a buyer accepts that there is a decrease in the price in future, they demand less in the present and vice versa. Demographic profile, the total number and ages, structure and as well as the sex ratio of the people living in the country also impact the demand. Government policies like taxation of the goods and purchasing power of customers also determine the demands of good. Fashion and social rules. Demand for goods are also influenced by prevailing fashions and the customers of the society. Demand also depend upon promotional effect like advertisement, sales promotion, etc. Let's understand the movement along demand curve. Movement along demand curve is when the commodity experience a change in both the quantity demanded and price, causing the curve to move in a specific direction. Movement along the demand curve is of two types. First is the expansion of demand, which is the downward movement, and the second one is the contraction of demand, which is upward movement. If we see the expansion of demand, it occurs when there is an increase in the quantity demanded due to fall in the price. Then the demand curve will shift downward and it is called as expansion or extension of the demand curve. The other is contraction of the demand curve. It occurs due to increase in the price. As the price increases, the quantity demanded is less, so the curve will shift inward, and this is called as contraction of demand. Next is the shift in demand curve. Shift in demand curve occurs when the commodity changes, the demand curve changes due to other factors other than prices. Again, it is of two types: increase in demand, which causes rightward shift, and decrease in demand, which causes leftward shift. If we see the increase in demand, it occurs when the price is same but the quantity demanded is more, so the demand curve will shift outward. And next one is the decrease in demand. This happens when the at same price the quantity demanded will be less, so the demand curve will shift inward. Let's understand some types of demand. First is the demand for buyer goods. The goods and services that are bought by buyers for their direct consumption are called consumer goods, like basic necessity goods like food, clothing, services of plumber, etc. The demand next is the demand for manufactured goods required in the industry for manufacturing other goods, like milk is required in dairy industry for manufacturing different milk products. The buyer demand is called as a direct demand or the autonomous demand, whereas the manufactured demand is derived based upon the demand of final output. Next is the perishable good demands. Perishable goods have very less shelf life and it should be consumed quickly. In this there are many examples like milk and milk products, fruits and vegetables. Next is the non-perishable goods demand. Non-perishable goods are repeatedly used for longer time and they can be stored for longer period of time, like sauces and oils and etc. Next is derived demand. For this, the demand is dependent on some other goods, like demand for floor tiles. The demand for floor tiles will only increase if there is a construction work going on. Next is the joint demand. When two goods are required to satisfy a single want, then they form a joint demand, like vehicles and fuel. Fuel is only needed when you have a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle, there is no need of fuel for you. Next is the composite demand. When the food is required for more than one purpose, it creates a composite demand. For such a demand, the change of demand of one use pattern creates a change in demand for other products also. Next is the company demand and the industry demand. Demand for a particular company's product is called company's demand, whereas the aggregate of company's demand producing a same good is known as the industry demand. Thank you all.